weekend here at Muscle in the Morning, and I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Friday, July 6, 2018. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. They say that if you want to study the history of the world, what you really need to find yourself doing is studying the history of war. And by this time tomorrow, all eyes in the bodybuilding world will be on the proverbial war that's about to go down on the Chicago Pro stage between Sergio Oliva Jr. and Justin Rodriguez. I don't know if it's been the feud, the haters, fear, or some combination of the three that's been motivating J-Rod over the back half of his prep, but I do know that my people close to the source tell me that he's on track to put together the best look of his career. And when the smoke finally clears, at the end of the night show, it'll be a nail-biter for sure as to who the last man standing will be. You know, when most people think about what it means to win the Olympia crown, what they're really thinking about is standing up there on stage for one night and having their hand raised in front of the crowd. But what they fail to realize is that it's the other 364 days of the year that you actually win the title. It's only in the singular moment that they hand you the prize. And with 6 Olympia titles already lining the shelves in his trophy room, you're crazy if you don't think that Flex Lewis doesn't know that already. According to the Lewis camp, Flex has been grinding harder than ever in his quest to become just the 6th athlete ever to be crowned world champion 7 straight times. So unless you believe somebody else out there has been hitting it harder than Flex Lewis over the last 364 days, it looks like the road to number 7 is clearer than it's ever been. I like to watch war documentaries on Netflix, and it always seems like all the great military leaders have some sort of cool nickname. So I know I'm not the only one out there who thinks William the Conqueror Bonac has a pretty nice ring to it. Right now, the defending Arnold Classic champ looks like he's pulling in every last resource that he's got in preparation for this last stretch of his Olympia run, where he's staring down the barrel of a history forced in his own right in defending 7-time champion King Phil. But the thing history tells us about every great empire is that they eventually all fall. So for all we can do is sit back and speculate about whether or not this year will be the year that William the Conqueror and his forces finally break through the gates. I'm honestly a pretty big fan of everything superhero, and I did find myself sucked into the Transformer movies as well, which got me thinking about what kind of weapons we might see Shawn Rhoden roll out of the arsenal this year. Even though the updates have been few and far between, rumor has it that Shawn Rhoden is supposedly on pace to bring the best overall look of his career into this year's big dance. A few weeks ago, a little birdie told me that Rhoden is already way ahead of where he was last year. And considering that 2017 was the first time he dropped out of the top 4 on the Olympia stage since 2011, I'd say that he's probably right where he needs to be. At this point, I'm not sure what it'll take for any of these guys to slow down Phil Heath, but I do know that a 110% Shawn Rhoden probably has as good a shot as anyone. And finally, we'd like to send a big get well soon shout out to our old friend Dennis James. Earlier this week, DJ went under the knife to repair a torn rotator cuff. And take it from a guy who's had bad shoulders for more than 2 decades now when I tell you that I'm sure this was long overdue. Everything I've heard so far indicates that everything went as expected, and DJ is already back home, resting up, waiting to start PT so he can get started on the road to recovery. And considering how much of a freak athlete James was back when he was at his peak of his powers, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he's back in the gym doing crazy Dennis James things again by this time as September rolls around. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.